Artillery exists in two types. One type is a single shot shooter, and another type is 3-round magazines. And the difference, of course, is the single shots tends to do a little bit more damage, but you can only shoot once, and 3 shots tend to do a little bit less damage, but you have lower reload time between the shells, and then a longer reload time when you reload the magazine. And I will showcase this on the same map we were before. Now this map has a lot of vertical problems for the artillery when you're playing it, because of these mountain ridges that you can see. We have a mountain ridge, here mountains everywhere. So it will be a bit of a challenge getting into a good fields of fire, and it's really showcasing the challenge you have in an artillery, where you basically need superior map knowledge in terms of where can I position and tank in order to have the best angles where I can shoot the most targets, while at the same time not being shot at by those targets I'm trying to shoot. And now, of course, since I will be mostly in the rear, I'm letting the guys move out first, so I'm not in their way. And here the first ones are already coming in. And what I'm doing now is basically being in an out-zoomed view and actually just working it like a tank destroyer. Which is basically how you would act if you have something coming up to you that is really close and really dangerous to you. You can't really be in the zoomed in mode because you don't really get a good overview when you're in your artillery sniper mode. And as you can see, I've already been spotted and I'm being engaged. And now I will relocate because too many enemy AIs is actually aiming at me. And this is the sniper mode. Now the blooming dots that is now showing red is basically how accurate I am. If I move the cannon left and right and around like this, it's going to bloom up a lot. Also, if I drive, it will become bigger, and obviously it will be harder to hit whatever I'm shooting at. Now from the previous round we know that artillery is over here somewhere. It hasn't fired yet, so I don't know where it is. When you're in an artillery, you will see what they call the counter battery, which is basically when the enemy artillery shoots, it's going to appear on the minimap as bloom. You will see it when it does. After 3 shots, the exact position of the enemy artillery will be shown. The same is true for yourself. And down here in the map we see the bloom, and I can home in on the artillery. This was designed for player versus player to make it a little bit more challenging for the artillery on both sides, and to not have them as invisible snipers. And now I'm relocating again in order to get a better shot at the incoming tanks. Which I have now. So let's blow some tanks up. The downside to the artillery is that, as you can see, even though I'm getting a direct impact, I'm not doing a really lot of damage. That's because I'm shooting high explosive rounds, where I do more damage from distance than I do point blank, which means that I don't have to hit exactly on the target in order to do damage. This is particularly useful if you're shooting blind and you're trying to decap the enemy when they are capturing a target or a capture zone. Simply because you stand a higher chance of actually getting the decap than if you actually had to hit the physical target precisely. Now, I would love for the developers to develop a armor piercing round which doesn't really have this high explosive splash area damage. Instead, do more damage if I really hit the target head on, so that I can have the option of deciding how I want to basically shoot with the artillery. Me personally, I would rather just do, and here you can see again that we have another artillery up. And I can't get it because of this mountain range here. Now since I can't get it, he can't get me. And I'm not too concerned about it because my teammates will actually destroy him. As for the ammo type, I would much rather have a little bit more challenge in hitting targets, but when I do hit, I get to do a lot of damage. That's what I really love. If you were to compare armored warfare artillery with World of Tank artillery. World of Tank artillery, you actually got to do a little bit more damage, which for me was more satisfying. Obviously with artillery you have shell flight time to consider. Now I have roughly 1.5 second flight time. On some maps it could be upwards to closer towards 4 seconds. Then you really need to work with reading the enemy tank movement and where you need to lead the target in order to stand the most chances of getting a hit. This is also one of the big challenges with artillery. Now we need to, I'm here, and I need to go all this way in order to defend the area here. Fortunately for me, there's a really good fire position up here, which lets me have pretty much a similar position which a tank destroyer would use. It's high and it has the distance, and for me it would be perfectly acceptable since I'm in artillery and I don't want to be up close to the battle. If I can just get up here anytime soon, that'd be nice. Now, when you're in artillery, you can have a few various jobs. One is obviously to destroy secondaries. They have countered that with the fact that some of them, or most of them, needs to be actually spotted before you can actually target and shoot them. Then, aside from that, you have two roles. One can be to finish off tanks and destroy them, and as such, you render a great service to the team because a destroyed cannon cannot shoot you or your teammates. Another one can be to shoot and engage targets that your teammates can't shoot, penetrate, or having a great trouble defeating. For instance, you have seen how awesome the Challenger 1 tank is. If we had it up here, I would focus fire on it because I'm firing high explosive round and I would eat away at its armor. Now, another thing to remember when you're playing the artillery, or if you haven't done it before, that you should be aware of, is that it can be at times very frustrating when you are shooting at a target and you know that, oh, I will be able to kill this target, but due to the shell's flight time, your teammate simply destroys the target first, and this can become very frustrating. At times though, it can be really satisfying, like this one where I actually killed 2 tanks in one shot. So over time it evens out. It's just something to be aware of, and they actually contemplating me on a good shot. I think it's actually one of the first time I actually managed to get 2 kills in one shot. Now I'm just and the hill vertical took it. It was just a gamble shot. I was hoping it would squeeze up high, and it didn't. Now I'm moving into target prioritization. We are really trying to get our teammates picked off, and I'm choosing to engage the, as I perceive it, the most dangerous threat, which is the tank destroyer right here. And this public player is asking me, he's thinking about getting the Vasco another artillery or the M109, which is the one I've been using. I'm not a artillery player per se. I do it from time to time. I think it's fun, but it's not something I primarily focus at, and as such I haven't had a lot of rounds in the Gwastika lately, so I couldn't really comment too much about it. So that was the basic tank classes, a little bit how they can be played, some key success factors on how you can survive on the battlefield, how you can contribute to the team and do damage in the meantime.